Irashaimase. Hello and welcome to Fataris' Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fataris. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this week we have Tameshi. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. From developer 171dev, Tameshi released for the PC via Steam in December of 2023. Now in October of 2025, it's also available for the Nintendo Switch, and that's the version we're looking at today. This title is a solid vertical scrolling shoot 'em up that delivers a retro wave-based bullet hell experience. If you're looking for a title that gets you right into the action at a relatively low price point, then Tameshi's one I can definitely recommend you try. Finding ourselves at the main menu, there are a couple of modes you can play the game in. There's New Game as well as Practice. Also, if you happen to have saved and quit a run, then you can continue it from here. We have the ability to adjust some of our controls, as well as under settings you can adjust your difficulties. There are rankings, however they're local only. Selecting New Game, we're taken to our ship selection. You have 3 choices here. Each varies on your speed as well as the overall spread of one of the shot types. For our purposes today, I'll be taking Type A, which does happen to be my preference, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Selecting Type A, you're taken into the gameplay itself. The movement is relatively straightforward for the vertical scroller, nothing too revolutionary here. As far as our offensive options, we have 2 shot types. Our primary shot, and this is the one that's going to have the different spreads depending on which fighter you've taken, and our laser. There's also bombs, and we'll be using those here in a little bit while fighting against some of the bosses, but you do start off with a stock, and it's possible to build up additional stock of that as well. We also have the ability to collect options, and those are from one of the power-ups that we'll be collecting throughout the course of our stages. There are 3 option types. There's one that provides cross-spread coverage, which is great for providing additional coverage for the main waves themselves. One that provides forward fire, great for focusing damage forward, especially against the bosses, and that works well with the laser in particular. And also one that provides some backfire. And that's kind of actually been quickly becoming my favorite choice, as it also provides some defensive coverage. Now the other power-up we have will give us one of 3 potential choices. So those 3 choices are Shield, Energy, and Bomb. So the shield provides a defensive shield that lasts for a short period of time but will defend you from everything on the screen. So bullets, running into enemies, all of that, you basically become temporarily invincible. The energy builds our energy meter there on the left side of the screen for whichever shot we're using. So if we're using our normal shot, then it will build the yellow energy. If we're using our laser, then it will build the blue energy. If you get that all the way up to 5 and collect another one, then it will provide you with a really powered up version of the options, but only for a short period of time. And unfortunately that energy does reset at the end of a stage. So if you've been varying between your shots and you've picked up energy of different types, then you'll likely won't be able to go and make use of that. So here against the final stage boss, we'll use a couple bombs so you can see that overall wave of fire that they use to both wipe the screen of bullets and deal heavy damage to any enemies that happen to be on the screen. Once you complete a stage after fighting the stage boss, we're given bonuses for several things, including chain and coin. So this game is a wave-based shoot 'em up, and as we complete the waves, then we'll be, if you happen to perfect a wave, we'll be given coins. You also earn coins from defeating the mid-bosses and the stage boss as well. And those all add up to bonuses at the end. At the start of a new stage, we begin building up our power as far as energy and everything, and we move on. So one thing I can go and say is I definitely really like the variety, specifically in the mid-bosses and stage bosses of the game's pixel art. So there's a lot of really awesome ship designs in this game, and even as far as the main enemy waves that we're encountering, we see a lot of variety both in the waves themselves and the enemy designs. However, one thing where I do feel the game is lacking is the backgrounds are relatively the same throughout the course of a run and all the various stages, where you just have that same kind of pattern, just with some different colors and shapes. Also, with this game primarily being a bullet hell, there is one thing I feel that's lacking, and that's that there's no focus movement for the game. No slow movement that you can use to dodge between bullets. And that's why I prefer the Type A ship, is it gives you the ability to more finely control our movement between the enemy waves, as well as the bullet patterns that we encounter. But with that aside, I do feel it's a really great shoot 'em up that does a good job of just giving you a nice, tight, vertical scrolling experience. So if you're looking to go and try something that's a little bit just relatively straightforward and standard, then the Tameshi definitely delivers. One thing to note, it does not currently work on Steam decks, so although this is a title that I had looked to cover in the past, where it didn't perform, or rather it doesn't work on the Steam Deck, I was not able to do so. So I'm actually very happy to have this one available on the Switch. So as far as the minus flavors are concerned, really the biggest one that I have is just with the bullet hell nature of the game, especially on some of the later stages and at higher difficulties. I really, really wish that there had been some focus movement option for the game. That would have really elevated this one to a higher level for me personally. And then the backgrounds, although it's not necessary, it would have been nice to just have a little more variety to the backgrounds that we have on display. But on the plus side, I do, and this kind of counters a little bit like the lack of the backgrounds. The overall pixel art for the enemies, specifically the bosses, is really on point. And I like seeing all the different bosses that you encounter throughout the course of a run, as well as even the main stage enemies. And then at the end of the day, it really just delivers a solid vertical scrolling experience that if you're looking to even just pick up and play, even though it's on the shorter side, you can still pause. You do have the option for save and quit here, so you could drop to the main menu and pick it up at any point should you be looking to play this in stages, or if you only have a couple minutes to devote to a shoot 'em up experience. And with that, we find ourselves at the end of this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. Tameshi served up for your enjoyment. One that's definitely a recommend from the chef. So as always, we want to thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful week yourself, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.